evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. And how are you all this evening? Did you all get to practice your balance this week?
Good.
Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
Did you get to practice more balance this week?
Yeah, I think I did. I really had to. It was a hectic week. Um, from midweek to the end of the week, it was hectic. So yeah, definitely had some challenges and had to be mindful, present, and stay focused. Yeah.
Okay. Anastasia, how about you?
Yes, I got the practice balance. Not how I would like it to be, but yes, as close as possible.
Okay. And Paula, are you there? Okay, I guess.
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Yes. Hi. No, I was asking about Paula, but even for you, were you able to practice balance this week?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And Patricia, Pat, are you there?
Yes,
Were you able to practice it this week?
a little, yes.
All right. And what were the results? Everybody just saying, well, yes, yes, yes. But what was the results of the practice?
I would say you saw you had more control and
Mm-hmm.
things went a bit smoother than usual. You
Okay.
had less confrontational issues and so on. You were just quiet and listening to people, and you didn't have no sort of confrontation and all of that. You listened to people's ideas and things, and you had yours.
Okay. Yes, because everyone is really responsible and accountable. You're really accountable to you and what everybody else thinks or does. They're accountable to themselves as well. And in applying balance this week, did anything pertinent come up? Anyone? Did balance come to test?
So I agree with Pat. I feel like with consistency and practice, you become more aware and in tune. Hi, Catherine. You become more aware and in tune when you're off balance. And because you have the tools, you at least for me, you're able to kind of dip your hand in the toolbox and pull out the tool that is best suited for whatever you think you're dealing with at the moment, and then kind of reel yourself back into being balanced. So I think it's definitely, now it's you, like you're more aware and you're more in tune with yourself when you're off center, and it's easier to work yourself back on being centered.
Yes. And also, as it relates to the Genius Goals question for last week, how was it for you all in terms of answering it?
I think for me, you had to release, not that you don't have to, at least for me, have to do that with every question, but you really had to sit and soul search and it took you back to, I guess, once you're being honest with yourself, it took you back to um, that particular thing that you need to improve on,
Mm-hmm.
and then sit and try to configure how to work through it to get a better end result. So it really took you back, and you had to really pay attention to what you think is lacking, so to speak, or what you think needs work. I mean, for a lot of people like myself, we have a lot of different issues, but I think sometimes it's prioritizing because you can't fix everything at the same time. So you prioritize which one is most important at this moment and you work on that. So yeah, I think the questions really help you to sit and soul search yourself.
And was anyone able to create their 10-minute routine?
I didn't see that.
Yes, we discussed it before. It was before the session
Oh,
ended.
I can't remember if I was on for everything Monday. I can't remember that.
Okay.
Yes, I was.
Okay, and I don't know if you would like to share your routine, or if you don't want to share your routine, how has it been working for you?
It's a peaceful time where you get to observe certain aspects of your surrounding
Mm-hmm.
and realize the amount of creatures that comes into view in that stillness for that 10 minutes. It's um, it's a peaceful time.
Okay. So your 10 minutes routine included was entailed slowing down. Yes?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. 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 Yes. Because a lot of times when we rush and you just get up and do whatever was the pattern from yesterday, the pattern from last week, the pattern from the past few years, you would recognize that you're not really seeing things, you're not taking everything in, you can't see the fullness of everything, and you're really just like a hamster on a wheel because you're not slowing down to take everything in. And again, in the slowing down, that is really where the solutions come, the answers that you're really asking for. That is when they flow. But if you continue rushing to the next thing, you would recognize that you would constantly be running into a lot of unwanted problems. And anyone else, were you able to create a 10-minute routine this week or even practice it? All right. Well, you have this week to create it. It's not lost.
I wasn't able to create it, but I took the opportunity to try to get back to a routine that I had committed myself to, and which had slipped a little bit in the last 2 weeks. So, starting on Saturday, I sort of try to get myself back into that gear because that one is really important for me to stay with that particular routine.
Okay. 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 All right. But once you're mindful of it, eventually everything would tend to fall into place once you're mindful. So it's just to stick with it and you would recognize that things are working out a lot better. And as it relates to tonight's topic, which is the architecture of a resilient mind, what does the word resilient mean to you?
Hmm.
And
Repeat the question. Repeat the question.
What does the word resilient mean to you, and how has it been showing up in your life recently?
That sounds like a tough one because you're trying to, when you understand the word resilient, it's like you stand against something. Like you have a resilient bacteria, it doesn't respond to whatever type of medication or whatever you're trying to use to destroy.
Hmm. All right. So
I think for resilience, you're talking about how resilient you are against outside
yes,
influences.
yes, yes. How has it been showing up for you in different instances where you recognize that you really had to become more resilient in order to overcome?
I think that's when you become more self-aware, more assertive, and you get to that point where you know who you are. Most important. So if you know who you are and you're able to stand strong and stand firm in your belief, then you don't allow outside forces. Or I think one of the things I know for me, like my motto is just like mind your business. You know what I mean? So when you focus on what's going on with you, and for each one of us, we have so much that we want to improve on ourselves. Like if we focus on all the things that we want to improve on ourselves, we wouldn't have time to focus on somebody else's problem. The flip side of that is that a lot of times we grow up thinking, okay, I should help this one, I should help that one, or help the other one. And if you don't help them, especially if it's like a family member or like your kids, you tend to feel guilty because that's what we're brought up to do, help each other and, give everything of yourself, have nothing for yourself, but just keep giving. So I think the resilience to is learning that it's okay to say no and not feel guilty and not feel bad for saying no.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have family members or we have friends or, you see people that's going through certain things. And sometimes you of yourself have to be able to hold your tongue or be able to step back and allow them to go through whatever they have to go through for their growth. But a lot of times we don't look at it like that. It's like I just want to help, I just want to help. But you realize a lot of times sometimes people are not ready to accept the help.
Yeah.
Um a lot of times it's not your place to help. A lot of times, if you're not grounded in knowing who you are you really helping that person or causing more of a problem to them? So the resilience come in from many angles, many perspectives. Resilient in the sense of you need to be resilient and know when it's your time to speak, if to speak.
Hmm.
Always go back to asking the question, am I supposed to help? And if it's like, no, I'm not supposed to help, then be okay with that.
Yeah.
Not go outside of that and be like, okay. I mean, I'm learning that, and it's okay to be resilient. It's okay.
Hmm. And remember, to resilience is really a requirement of life, eh? But a lot of times when we encounter certain challenges, we think, oh gosh, this again. I tired of this. I don't want to do this. Let me put this off for tomorrow. You're always trying to put it off or put off your opportunity to really expand yourself and your opportunity to grow. And even you don't realize how it affects other things, because even in my instance, when I was explaining the time while I was at a job and they asked me to go and do stock taking, and I said I am not going. And then when I left that job, needed to apply for another one, and that was part of the requirements for the next job. And when you put these things off, sometimes you look back and you just shake your head, because everything that is along your path is for your growth and development. But if you put it off in the moment because of whatever you might be feeling in the moment, you recognize that, of course, in hindsight, a lot of other things get affected. Because in the moment you don't recognize, but in hindsight, a lot of other things get affected. So, anyone else would like to share how has resilience been showing up, or how has resilience, or how has your opportunity to strengthen your resilience been showing up for you lately? Because it always comes.
I think that in the last week or so, the last 2 weeks, yeah, probably the last 2 weeks, where a number of challenges in the personal space have come, and I find myself having to, for the most part, try to, well, not try, but engage the tools. I would give myself a solid 75% success. But in the missing 25 is also the recognition that, okay, I noticed that something was missing, that I was not as proficient as I should be. But it strengthened the resolve to keep working at it. The parts that, there's some things that just trigger you a little bit more than other things. And for me, it's always a catch up at that point in time. So my work is to catch up before I have to catch up. Meaning that when you're in it and you're experiencing it, just experience it and not slip then to have to catch up. So a few times I was able to just say, okay, it is what it is. Let it be what it is. Don't fret and try to figure out and overthink it. But there's a 25% that was slipping. So I think for my level of resilience is a question of staying present and accepting that it is what it is and learning to banish. I think that's a good word. This whole question of between suppose and expectations. You expect something and you're supposed to be like that, but it is not like that. And so accept what it is. The other thing that I was spending a little time with this morning is accepting that there's nobody else but me. So if I am experiencing X and I want to experience Y, then it is up to me to experience Y. If I am experiencing X, what is the purpose of experiencing X and complaining about X? Because who exactly is supposed to change X? There's nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't, I am experiencing it, I am seeing it, I am thinking about it. It's nobody else is doing that. It is my experience. So practicing more of putting things down, expect and the cousin should, and and just letting it be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 25%. Just let it. It is what it is, without any kind of. Lisa always makes mention of family. This thing called family is almost like a anchor, weight tied onto your foot sometimes. I hate to make it sound like this, but when you look at it, if you do not have, if you didn't grow with an adequate, it's not even a good word, but a proper definition of family and the role of family and how you fit into family and what is family really. You find that if you grew with the skewed definition of family, which is sacrifice and give everything to family and you stay without, or you take other people's feeling before yours and things like that, you find that that word for me has become a very suspicious word, to, to, to put it mildly. And suspicious, not in that I'm suspicious of other people, but I am now more mindful of how I have been interpreting family. And therefore, I need to put in the work there to release that sort of attachment, good. Attachment, that sort of anchor tied around your ankle, which leaves you feeling drained sometimes. So that is where I guess my resilience was tested, but I still hold it to a solid 75%. There's always the 25 that I'm working on.
Okay. And and I know for clarity purposes, Nicola could come in at this point to really explain the challenges people face when they tend to run away from the opportunity time after time to become more resilient, because some persons when faced with the challenges they tend to cower. So from the psychological perspective, what are some of the effects this could have on individuals as they are running from opportunities to become more resilient?
Good night, everyone. For the most part, what it does is it keeps you stuck because life have a way of testing you over and over and over and trying to push you. And when you get to that space where you kind of give up, you could find yourself in spaces where you have like depression and anxiety. You know, you get it as we learn it now because of this now, it's affecting your body. So you're sick all the time because those things do tend to play with your immune system as well and weaken your immune system. So for the most part, when you try to run away from the stuff, it just puts you in a worse off position than facing what it is you need to face and going through that discomfort. I always like to use the example of think about it like you're lying down for an hour in one position. As you come off the bed, your body going to feel uncomfortable. But as you continue walking, your body would adjust and it would get comfortable. So for the most part, it can play on your mental health and put you in spaces that you need not be when you don't face whatever it is.
Mhm.
And hi Anastasia. What I would like to say as well is usually when you're in that space is developing a mindset or seeing, as Lisa was mentioning as well, seeing yourself as more than, because what we tend to do is see the challenges as bigger than us. And the minute you see the challenge as bigger than you tend to engage most times in the unhealthy coping mechanisms and the healthy ones. So you tend to run away from it because this thing is way bigger than me. But what think about it like an ant, and unless you're really or cockroaches, unless you're really afraid cockroaches and you run off. But think about it like you are the tall one and then the cockroach on the ground. So see the challenge as the roach. And that way we unless it's flying. If it's flying, well that's a different ballgame. But if it's just crawling, oh, I can stomp you down and we good to go. So just see the challenges, develop the mindset that this is smaller than me and I am bigger than it. And I am equipped with all that I need to deal with this. It may not happen because most times when we face with a challenge, we either want it to go the way that we want it to go or we want it to finish quick. We don't want to deal with it. So I find by time in the morning or 2 days from now, this should not be. But it's also I adopted a mindset of this will take as long as it needs to take But every day I would get up and I would walk through it, and every moment that I am faced with it, I would go through it and I would until I get to the end, because you never know how long the journey is. So it's getting into that mindset shift as well to help you along.
Yes, indeed, because even for our post on Saturday, and what you don't realize is when you tend to run, remember, you're stuck in a space of stress, anxiety, all different kinds of thoughts, and then you would recognize that your body's starting to respond a particular way. So let me just read Saturday's post for you, which says, pay attention to what is being signaled by your body. Every stressful thought, unwanted experience, or future anxiety shows up somewhere. Be cautious of where your awareness lies. So even in the running, you're not realizing again. Whereas you might be affecting opportunities, you're also affecting your body's ability to function at its best because you're stuck in a space. And it is something that we do not pay attention to until there is pain that is immense, and now you have to go to a medical professional to seek additional help. So these are some of the ways in which when you tend to run away from the opportunity to become more resilient, these are the kinds of other issues that would stem out of it. And even for all of us here, you have instances every year when you was going to school and you have to pass exams and you're feeling so scared and you're feeling, I don't know if I could do this. And with every exam that you pass, now you don't even look back, you can't even remember. You're asking yourself, why was I even worried in the first place? And even in those instances, again, with every new thing that you face, sometimes you really have to remind yourself of all the things that you have overcome when you thought, I can't even do this. And you have done it over and over and over again. And then recognizing it, sometimes you really need to take the additional pressure off yourself. Because putting your body into that tense mode so often, you may not feel the effects right now, but it would certainly have a lot of negative effects later on. And as time passes by, and I know you're not paying attention to it, but it is something that you really need to pay attention to. And sometimes the little thoughts come in, and you continue to ignore whatever the thought is. But yet every day you get up and you're asking because you want to experience something different. But then how can you experience something different when you keep making the same choices?
Mhm.
How can you really become more resilient when you want to stick to your pattern and you don't want to receive the change that is happening before your eyes? How then do you want to get to that side? Because let me tell you something, every single thing that you want or require, you have to put in the effort in order to get there. For some of us who want the summer body, you have to put in the effort. If you want to become a lawyer, you have to put in the effort. If you want to become a doctor, you have to put in the effort. Whatever it is that you want, you have to put in the effort. Even when you look at nature, you plant a seed, the seed has to put in the work and transform in order to become the tree, the plant in order to bear fruit. Just because we don't pay attention to it and we didn't see all the stages doesn't mean that nothing is changing, because there are a lot of changes. And even as Gillis was expressing earlier, it's only when you slow down you would recognize how many other things are in motion. But again, if you just get up and you're the hamster on the wheel, then it would just continue to be as it is. And when you see the opportunities to become resilient, first you really, really have to become more open to receive. Because even if it is something that you're really not, we always say, I don't want to deal with this right now. You really have to ask yourself, what is this here to teach me in this moment? The first thing we do is we get resistant to the resilience. We put up a wall. I don't want to deal with this. Instead of saying, okay, what is this here to teach me? And for, okay, moving along, probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes, you might need to take a little bit of notes so that you could reference what was discussed tonight. Because we would be discussing I know the topic is the architecture of a resilient mind. So we would discuss some of the architecture in depth. So for those of you who do not have a pen and paper, this is probably an opportunity to run and get it. So you could always reference it moving forward. And also for those who are answering the Genius Goals question as well, you might need to take notes to be able to answer it, the Genius Goals question for this upcoming week. And even as we are discussing some of the ways that you can remain stuck, what are some of the other tools that you think that we could implement in order to recover faster? And why do you think we are unable to recover as faster? Why do we stay stuck for so long? Because when you look
Habit,
at a child, I wanted this, I didn't get it, okay, I want to the next thing. But why do you think that we remain stuck for so long?
habit and attachment. You're attached to the idea of what it is you want. You're not even attached to the thing. You just want that, you have that idea, that concept. Like sometimes you hear people say, I always imagine that my life would be like X, Y, and Z, which is what I say sometimes. And then I quickly have to get back into the present with okay, you have come too far to still hold that same thought and to even entertain it. So it's comfortable. It's something to fall back on. So you fall back on it. Children don't have that kind of that cushion. They know what they want and they want to enjoy X, Y, and what they'll find enjoyment in what is there. They might fuss a little bit for what they didn't, but they don't hold on to it like how we hold on to things and regrets and all these different things where we just piling on baggage. They don't do that. So we do it because one is something that we're very familiar with. We have good amount of practice with it and we have practiced it for years. So it's an easy default. And two, we just refuse to step away from that kind of decision making. So we just spin the same top in the same mud and get the same mud.
I think fear is part of it too. Fear of change, fear of the unknown. Like Katrin was saying, that's what you know, that's where you're comfortable. And in order to get change or see change, we have to step out of that comfortable space and then become uncomfortable. And a lot of times we're afraid to become uncomfortable. So we might be sitting in the uncomfortableness, complaining about the uncomfortableness, but afraid to take the step out of the uncomfortableness to become more comfortable. So fear is definitely a big part, I think, of um, everything like that, why we stay stuck.
And we said the value we place on the thing adds to how much fear we have.
Not
Because if
necessarily.
we if we if we if we put a weighting on the amount of risk that we have to take to get this new thing that we might want, then the weighting of the risk also, for me, corresponds with the amount of fear that, because when we look back, it's like, okay, if I just need to cross a hot beach, is one thing. But if I need to swim the channel to get to the other beach, there's a lot of risk involved. And so now I'm studying, okay, a little discomfort, a hot sand walking, or I'm studying, I could lose my whole life swimming out there. So which one will it be? Then I might settle down and say, well, that one has too much risk. So I wouldn't go for that big thing. Let me go for a smaller thing, or let me just stay here. There's no need to go walking on the beach at all. And so to me, the greater the risk that we perceive this movement to be, then we match it with that level of fear. And then we decide whether we go in for it at all, whether it's even worth it to move.
Which brings me to another post that was posted over the weekend, which was asking about the word fear and where did it originate for you?
Mm,
The post asks, have you ever stopped and analyzed where fears come from? Do they originate from past experiences or are they intertwined with future expectations?
mm,
Your attempt at living confined by them truly limits the fullness of your existence. Move through, move past, and overcome each fear by starting from the only place that exists now.
yeah,
So,
that was a deep question because I sat there for a long while, and then I said probably both
mhm. But if you're
because
starting from where you are with what you have, remember the answers and the solutions that you seek once you slow down, they're right in plain sight.
mhm,
But if you are not there to see it, you would constantly be looking. Because if you really sit and you take a few deep breaths and you ask yourself a question, sometimes you do not get the answer immediately. Sometimes you get the answer like me. I went on the beach and while floating, I said, oh, okay. Sometimes the answers take a little while to come, but if you are present to receive the answer, you would recognize it. There is no fear in this because everything that you had attached the answer to, you recognize it wasn't even making no sense after you get the solution. And you realize you work yourself up for nothing. You realize your heart was racing for nothing. You worried for nothing. You stressed for nothing. And everything, as it always does, worked itself out. So when you really look at fear, where does it really come from? But have you ever sat to analyze really where it comes from? Because when you look at it, fear is really not part of your present moment. Fear is attached to something that happened in the past, or it is intertwined into something that is yet to come and might never happen. Because
So,
if you're in the present moment, you would recognize you received the solution to whatever question you were asking. And all you have to do is make the next step. Yes, Lisa?
sorry. I was just saying, like, based on what you're saying, fear is really just in the mind.
Mhm. And even Nicola could come chime back in again as it relates to psychology. Because if you are in the present moment, because when you look at it, if you have a question that you're asking, like I was asking a particular question, asking a question, and remember you're being there in the moment. Because in asking the questions, what you would realize is, what if this happen? What if it doesn't? What if I don't get it in time? What did it? And you keep ask your question, be present in the moment. I was dealing with some things with my grandparents, came back down the road. My niece texts, Auntie, we're going on the beach. You want us to wait for you? By the time I called, they had already left. I was like, I'm not missing this boat. So I changed my clothes, run down on the beach, found them. They were playing, catching the water with a ball. And I was just floating there. And the answer came, and it was like, why do we constantly put ourselves through this? Once you still yourself, you would receive the response, the answer that you need. Why do we constantly put ourselves through this process of overthinking and stress and anxiety and fear?
Because we constantly beaten, whether we want to drag it, pull it, or never let it go. We are determined to continue to work from our mind first. And the mind does not have any solutions for things that are new. And this leaves us in a perilous state of constantly trying to control the outcome, trying to figure it out, trying to do this because we're not settling down to say, okay, let me breathe, which is something that I've been trying to do. I've been doing. Let me stop using this word. Whether I've been doing it 100% of the time or 2% of the time, which is one of the things when I stop myself from doing the old things. You realize that one thing, everything that you need is on your breath, and it will come. Two, give up this business of trying to make plan A, plan B, plan C, and contingency plan number 16 and control with the mind, because the mind is what keeps the stress levels up and the poor mind is not to blame. The mind is just the mind. But we have been accustomed for so long to operating only from the mind and not in this way that we're supposed to operate, which is in our complete self, that that is where we hold on to everything that we should not be holding on to. We're accustomed putting the mind first, and the mind cannot be first.
Yes, because again, we're in a pattern and we don't recognize how much we are in the pattern until life kind of forces us to see
Yeah.
that we are in a pattern and you really need to go a different way. Because again, it is your opportunity to expand yourself, to learn something new, to grow, to develop. But if you keep choosing, I really don't want to become more resilient, then how would you achieve the things that you really want to achieve, all the goals that you have? Then how you're going to achieve it, because you really have to get over whatever the hurdle is. And for you guys, even with the post that was, I think that post was Sunday's post that went out about fear, this is also your opportunity to
Mhm.
really, you could check out the article as well, you read up for it, and really search yourself. And before going into your default mode when faced with any challenge, which is fear, really search yourself so that also this could be your opportunity to build that 10-minute routine when you're experiencing fear. So if you take the time to answer the questions in the post, which was asking, have you ever stopped and analyzed where fear comes from,
Mm.
where it originates, and recognize also how much you are confined and limited when you're truly living from fear? So, in the write up, also, you would get the opportunity to learn how to really overcome it and put it into practice. So, when the opportunities for resilience come before the fear sets in, you could say, okay, let me create my little blueprint so that you would be able, you would be better equipped. And all of this would also be part of strengthening and building your resilience because it is necessary before you move on. I know that you think that it is not, but you really have to remember resilience is part of life and it will always come to ensure that you are ready to receive what you're asking for. Because if you're not ready to receive it, then how would you get it? And also, you could practice again. Remember, it's supposed to be functioning from neutral. So, whatever comes at you before you run, you could just take a moment. Nicole, are you there?
Yes, I am.
And can you explain to everyone the box breathing method with the square?
So what you do is, so it's a breathing for 4, hold for 4. So you're utilizing 4 seconds, right? So as you start, you're breathing, you count for 4, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, you hold again for 4 seconds, and then you inhale again for 4 seconds. So we could practice it,
Yes.
right? So everyone can get in a comfortable position,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll do the count. I'll do the counting. So as I say breathe in, you'll breathe in and I'll count. All right. So breathe in, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. We hold in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, exhale, 2, right? Hold again. So just relax, hold. Breathe in, hold, exhale, right? And that's it. So the second hold is just holding before you breathe in again. And the first hold is holding your breath before you exhale.
And this is something simple that you can practice when you face with any challenge that requires you to become more resilient. So you have the opportunity to really practice it before you make any rash decision, before you just go to default, which is fear and anxiety, and you send your body into a lot of unnecessary emotions and feelings that gets you wrapped up in a space for a very, very long time. And even as we discuss the architecture of a resilient mind, I would just like to also give you some watchwords that can assist you as you face the challenge. So, again, we all know that challenges will come. If it's one thing that we are sure about, is that challenges will come. Whether you like it, you do not like it, it does not matter. They are still going to come. And part of why befitment is really here is to show you that there is a different way to live. You are accustomed, one particular way, you are accustomed responding with anxiety and stress. You are accustomed getting the migraines. You are accustomed feeling tense. You're accustomed with your mind racing before you go to sleep, so you can't really settle down to go to sleep. All of these things is what you are accustomed to, but there is another way. And there are some tools that you can utilize to show you another way. And again, guys, the Mondays, these sessions are the tip of the iceberg because the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is really the deep dive and the practical to really demonstrate everything that was being discussed. So you get the opportunity to really put it into practice throughout the week. And of course, you are welcome to come with all your questions that you may have. So the first word is adapt. So when you recognize that the challenge is here, okay. And again, that is where you really have to stay flexible and be ready to adjust when life starts to shift, because life is going to shift. You staying stationary is not going to make it stationary as well. Life is going to shift. So think about some of the ways that you could stay flexible. Yes, you wanted a particular result. While we understand that, even if it happens another way, it is your opportunity to probably learn something new along the way, meet somebody new along the way. So whenever the change comes, you really have to be open to being, you might have to change some things. That is the first thing, and you have to accept that. And I know for a lot of us, we expected the road to be a paved road and there are no bumps and no potholes, but there are definitely potholes and bumps along the way. The second word is persist. You really have to be persistent, because even before, when we were discussing in terms of running away when the challenge comes, because I don't want to deal with this right now, if you keep running, you would recognize that you would encounter challenges, and then after being stuck in a space for so long, you would find that you're now, okay, you're feeling depressed. You have to go and get your doctor. You're feeling constant anxiety, constant headaches, constant overthinking. So even when things look as though nothing is happening, that is where you really have to keep going. You really, really have to be persistent, because when you look at children, you would realize, because I have a nephew, if he says he wants a particular snack, he would come here and he would hang around, hang around, hang around, hang around, hang around, hang around some more until he gets whatever that particular snack is. And he will not forget. He will come back tomorrow. And that is what children do, and you recognize that is how they are able to receive what they want. Because we always giving up. We are always giving up. And sometimes you give up right before the thing comes. If we just hold our intention like children, just hold our intention like children hold intention, trust me, you would see how quickly some of the things that you want you would receive. But we are so easily distracted. We are on our phones. We are unexpected bill comes. We are always distracted. And in doing so, you would realize, okay, you cannot stay persistent. The third word is focus. And that is also coinciding with holding the intention. What do you want? What do you want to achieve? Do you really want it when you change your mind tomorrow? Do you really want it because your sister have it, or your neighbor has it, or your coworker has it? Do you really want it for you? Or do you want it from external because you were influenced by social media, or did it really come from within after you spent some time with yourself? And then once you know what you want, focus by directing energy towards what you can influence. And this is something that also keeps a lot of us stuck, because we direct energy towards what we cannot influence. And we try to make it work. Then we get frustrated. It does not work. Then we give up. Then we run and say, this is not for me. But you are trying to fit a puzzle piece into a space where it does not work. And in doing so, you're just frustrating yourself. So direct your energy towards what you can influence. Or even sometimes, when you really want something and you expect it to come wrapped in a particular package, and it come wrapped in brown paper instead of gift paper. And because of that, and remember, this is the door that opened, but you say, no, this door not pretty enough. No. Let me wait until the prettier door comes. and the prettier door never comes. Direct your energy towards what you can influence. If this is the door that has opened, this door might be the door that has 5 less steps than the other door that you originally wanted. So that is something to really be mindful of. The fourth word is balance. How do you balance? A lot of us are out of balance. And once you see that your body is responding a particular way, you know that something is certainly out of balance. And this was part of last week's topic, which discussed from burnout to balance. And as part of the Genius Goals question for that week, the question was asking as well, what are the current signs that tell you you're experiencing burnout? And again, it is really something important that you really, really, really need to pay attention to. Because a lot of us, we don't do anything for balance. You're just going from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. When was the last time you stopped for you? When was the last time you went and did something you really like to do? Instead of the things that you do each and every day. When was the last time? So, or even when was the last time you got a good night's sleep? Simple, simple, simple things that you really, really need to look at. When was the last time you sat down and had a good meal and you're not eating, walking in between, doing 2 different activities? When was the last time you drank 8 glasses of water for the day? It's these little things that you really need to pay attention to. The fifth word is breathe. And Nicola just demonstrated to us a breathing technique that we can do so that we could practice pausing before reacting. Because we tend to react, then we get tired from the reaction, and then pausing after the reaction, that is when we say, I really should not react like that. So you could practice pausing before you react, and in doing so, you would create space for clarity when you pause before you react. Because remember, in creating space for clarity, you would allow the solutions that you require to come. And very soon, please note also that we would be doing full breathwork sessions on an afternoon for those who are part of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday session. So please, guys, tune in for that. Because with Befitment, once you are enrolled, we are ensuring that you are fully equipped for whatever life throws at you. So, again, remember to breathe and pause before reacting to create space for clarity. The sixth one is learning. And you really need to see every setback as a source of insight. So, again, what is this here to teach me? You learning did not stop when you left school 26 years ago. There is always an opportunity to learn something new every day. So you really have to change your mindset and see it as an opportunity to learn something new. Even if you go into a particular place and the road blocked off and your GPS has to re-navigate this space, it is probably the opportunity you would see a store that you always wanted to go in. Oh, this is where the store is, a restaurant that you always wanted to try, an old friend that you always wanted to see and you haven't seen in such a long time. You never know. Because once you block yourself off and saying, I do not want, the universe responds accordingly. So you may have been on your way to get the solution or the answer to what you was asking for, but now you said, I do not want, and the universe responds accordingly. It is in these simple choices that we make each and every day. We affect so many of the things that we really, really, really want later on. All right, so the next word is steady. And what does steady really mean? Because I know before we had persist, but why do you think that we need to be steady?
I think it lends itself to consistency in that you going along at a particular pace or method or but it is consistent in what you are doing and you're not wavering in how you're going about it. So there is a level of calmness and neutrality.
Yes.
There is a level of neutrality in so that you're not flaying around. Things are moving along like a ship going along in a nice, safe, and you know where you're going and you know you're going to get there. So there's no need to be flustered.
Yes. So in being steady, you're really avoiding obstacles. Sorry, you're really avoiding overreacting to temporary highs or lows. Because the lows that you're feeling are temporary unless you make them permanent, of course. And also the highs that you're feeling are also temporary unless you make them permanent. So you really have to ensure and maintain being steady. The next one is a very, 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 very important one, and the word is reframing. How do you turn the obstacles into opportunities for growth? Yes, you had a particular image in your head. Yes, yes, yes. But probably the image that you had was really aligned with something from your neighbor, something from your friend, something you saw from your sister. So now you really need to reframe it from truth, which comes from within you. So, how do you really turn this now into an opportunity for you to grow and to expand? Because again, it was presented to you for a reason. So, you might think it's a coincidence, but it's really not a coincidence. It was really presented to you for a reason. So, even when things don't go as planned, how do you reframe this to turn the obstacle into an opportunity for growth? The next word is root. And in being rooted, you really have to remember to stay grounded in your values. So, what do you want? What is your intention? And ensure that the basis of it is you and not external influences. This is something that my mother wanted me to do. This is something that my father wanted me to do. How do you stay rooted and grounded in your values or whatever it is that you want, your intention? So, sometimes you might think that you're rooted in this today and then you're rooted in that tomorrow. Then you really wasn't rooted in it. You might have think you were rooted in it because it was probably trendy or again external influences, but then you're really not rooted in it. And the last and most important one, what do you all think it is? Is a 7-letter word starting with the word R. The letter R, sorry.
Resilience.
No. So let me just read all the.
Rational.
No. So we went from adapt to persist to focus to balance to breathe, learn, steady, reframe, root, and there is one more. starts with a letter R, ends with a letter E, and it is something that is very difficult for a lot of us. So the word is release. Letting go of what drains you or holds no benefit whatsoever. And I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, and Catherine was explaining, the attachments that we formed because of it. So, releasing is something that is so, 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 so important, because sometimes even in tidying your room, you would recognize, wait, this still here? I didn't get rid of this. Sometimes you check the expiry date and you would recognize that this thing has been expired for 3 years and you just have it here taking up space, you know? Guys, just hold on 1 minute. So, you really, really, really have to release. There is so much. And it is something that I and all even needed. I needed to practice a lot because, again, as I said, I would always be like this. And then you would recognize that. Sometimes there is so many different things that you're holding on to and you're totally, totally unaware of. When you just sit wherever you are, look around your space. What has been sitting there for 2, 3 years, the clothes that could no longer fit? And I know Catherine did a deep dive with this when we did Dowdy 1 and Dowdy 2. There is so many things that you just have. All the old undergarments, the clothes that has holes, just the things. Sometimes your life, your space just filled with things and you're not releasing it. And it is only in releasing it you recognize, wow. Sometimes you free up your space, you feel so much lighter. As soon as you free up your space, you recognize that certain things that you were asking for, they were now able to come. So really, really consider just within yourself and also outside of yourself, releasing. Yes, Anastasia, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes, you touch on what it is I wanted to say. Release and learn to release fast as well. Because the faster you release is the faster what after come going to come.
Yeah,
So, um,
that is certainly true. That is certainly, certainly true. And again, another post that we sent out on Saturday, which speaks about your mind, your space, and your environment is a reflection of the thoughts and feelings you currently hold. Cluttered space, cluttered mind. Take some time to declutter both internally and externally because you are the creator of your environment. And that is something very important to note. You are the creator of your environment. What do you want to experience? When you know what you want to experience, that is when you will know what you would like to create. And again, remain focused. And again, remember to the breathing exercise as well. That is very important. So before you react, remember to breathe. Before you react, for the reactors that we currently have in here, sometimes you just react. So before you react, remember the breathing, the inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. So it is something that you can really take the opportunity to put into practice moving forward. Yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, when you were looking at release, sometimes even if you we have a little streak in us sometimes say, well, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to forgive this person. I'm not going to let go this thing because it happened. But sometimes you have to say, well, in knowing what it is you want and in understanding that everything is connected, what is the cost of you holding on to that thing? because whatever you're holding on to, whatever it is blocking what you want. And this came flooding back to me about last week, when I received a WhatsApp message from somebody who, and I thought I had dealt with it, had gotten over it, and the person was happy go lucky, they send me some information, something major is going to happen in their life, and I'm there saying, but Catherine, you're having difficulty sending a response. You're having difficulty sending a response. Why are you having difficulty even acknowledging, okay, congratulations or whatnot? And I had to sit with it a good while, some days. And then I had to go into the space of, listen, if this is still here, then this is actually blocking something you really want. So you have to work on just digging this thing out of your system, get it out, deal with it, flush it, because it is sitting squarely in the middle of your road. So you either want what you want and you go after it, which is the persistence, or you hold on to whatever you want to hold on to. But know that in doing that, you will not get what you want. You will hold on to your block, and you could get to the end of your days and you could look back and say, I should have, I could have, if I had of. You could add any one of those cousins. But in releasing, it really ties up to what do you want. If it's peace of mind you want, if it is a more balanced life, what it is you want, and therefore what it is you're willing to let go of, let it go to be able to get what you want. To me, that gives you a real incentive to let it go, and let it go quickly so that you could get what it is you want really, really quickly.
And I have one more question for everyone who is on line right now. Do you all know what you want?
Yeah. I used to have a long, 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 long list, but it has gotten itself slash, 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 slash.
Okay.
So now it's just,
Just peace and
Do you all
yeah,
know? But for everyone, you all know what you want?
yes. I
Okay.
want peace in life.
Okay. Okay. And do you all know the steps to get what you want, or what is holding you back, and what you need to release in order to get there?
yeah.
Yes?
Control.
But you don't always make the effort.
Well, that is the thing. That is the thing. And just as Nicola explained initially as well, once there is no effort, there will be the same results. Once there is the same results, you might be disenchanted and you could slip into stress, anxiety, depression. So that is why you really have to be persistent with what you want. It is very, very, very important to remain persistent with it and remain focused. And even if the distractions come, release the distractions quickly as well. You really, really, really need to release the distractions as quickly as possible. And keep a vision of whatever it is that you want in your mind. Keep a vision of it. Be mindful of
Adana, sometimes,
it.
Adana, sometimes you didn't even know the distraction is a distraction. Sometimes the distraction is some does look like it was the real thing. Until later when you realize, but this is a distraction.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is why it really is important when you get up in the morning to ask yourself, self, what is required for you today? Get to know you. Because once you know you and you know what you want, you would know how to identify what you want from what is a distraction. Because
Anastasia,
sometimes when you don't know you, they could tend to look model and they might look similar. But when you know what you want, then you would realize, no, no, this is not what I want. This is not a yellow socks with polka dots. This is a white socks with polka dots. It's similar, but it is not what you want.
Anastasia, you have to so know what you want. It's like looking at how they say the Americans know how to spot a counterfeit bill.
Mhm.
They don't study what might be wrong. They only study what the correct bill looks like. So you will be able to tell when the features off, when the little color in the shading is not just right. But you have to really have to know what we want.
Yes.
I had a situation a few months back and I had to sit and talk to myself because what it will always come in front of you to test to see whether you know what you want and whether you can identify to the minutest detail what it is you want. And
Hmm.
then you're able to say, okay, this is what the genuine thing is. All right, I could see the shadings and I could see the little threadbare here and there. So this is not what I want.
Yes. And even when you look at children, if a child wants a Spider-Man backpack, can you bring a Superman backpack?
Try cracking
Just
up with
because the color is similar, they would
it.
not accept it. If they want a Transformers backpack, you cannot carry a
Super.
Avengers backpack. They would certainly know the difference. They would not accept it. And just as how they maintain their focus, that is how we have to also maintain our focus. They do not take their eyes off of anything. If they want a particular snack and you might buy something else in another pack that looks similar, as soon as they taste it, all your money went down the drain because they're not going to eat any more of it. So you really, really have to ensure, again, knowing what you want is very, very important. And Nicola, you there to let us know what is coming up for this week. Remember this, the days that follows, the Mondays, are a deep dive to further discuss whatever we discuss in tonight's session. So Nicola, are you there?
Yes, I am. Let me share my
See what we
screen.
have coming up this week.
Just listen, I just have to. Okay, so Dana, because my laptop, I have to change the settings. I would get logged
Oh,
out of Google
okay.
right now. So I don't know if you want to do it because it would close off and
Well,
then I'll
let
have
me share, and you could still
my privacy settings.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, okay. Understood, understood.
Yeah.
So we could get it rectified, I guess, for next week then. All right. So again, remember that this the week is very important as it further discusses whatever else you require moving forward. Because again, Mondays are just the tip of the iceberg. So on Tuesday, the 19th, from 10, we have counseling and consultations, and from 6, we have strength through all seasons of life. And that is why we spoke earlier about being persistent. Or this would also help for the runaways, the ones who like to run away when the opportunity for resilience comes. So a case for accountability systems and peer support. So we would be looking at that tomorrow from 6. From 7, we have the fuel and flex body workout. On Wednesday, again from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 6, we have reality for real world challenges. So you would be able to develop strategies for maintaining composure. So for those who fly off the handle, Wednesday is certainly for you. So you would be able to be more mindful and develop strategies for maintaining composure. You know, when the change comes sometimes and it's a shock, and sometimes, yes, you might lose it for a little bit. Wednesday is certainly for you. On Thursday, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And then from 6, we have adaptation and bouncing forward, which was the first word, one of the first tools that was just discussed, because building an adaptive mindset that thrives is very, very important. And that is what we would be focusing on Thursday. Because once you have a closed mindset and you say, no, this is it, I don't want to learn anything more, remember, you would not be open really to receiving what is happening, to be able to adapt, to be able to um, construct something new, because you want to remain stuck. And again, life will continue to pass you by. And then from 7, we have the fuel and flexible body workout. On Friday, we have counseling and consultations. And from 5, we have free to be, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. Of course, if you are interested, it is by appointment only. On Saturday, from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And from 3, we are closed. And for those who are interested in premium membership and to be part of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday sessions, that cost is $96 TT or $15 USD. And next week, Saturday, sorry about that, we would be going to 100 Steps Beach. Do not worry, those who are outside of Trinidad and Tobago, we would be in a country near, or your country, soon enough. Don't worry, we would also have activities there. And of course, it is free. So if you would like to relax, be free, have fun, and feel free to bring a friend, we would be going on Saturday, the 30th of August from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you need transport, that would be $150. And for those who are driving up, we would first meet at Grand Bazaar for 9 a.m. And then we would proceed to 100 Steps Beach. If you need any more information, you could WhatsApp 100 to 336 1809 for more information. So, and of course, the Genius Goals question, it would be posted 9 p.m. tonight. And guys, remember Lisa and Anastasia, you all will be looking at them in St. Vincent and Grenadines when they are drinking their Mai Tais or whichever one it is. Then you would say, you know, I should have, when you see them drinking on the beach, whichever one, and eating at the restaurant and having a fun time. Then you would take it more serious. And then by January, instead of might have 2 in front, it might have 28 vying for the first place. So you never know. You never, never, never know. So even as you approach this week, remember to be mindful. Remember, when the opportunities for resilience comes, you have some of the tools, you have the words that could guide you. You also have the app that could guide you as well when you're feeling or you're experiencing fear in the moment. If you still need additional support, feel free to reach out to us. On the 30th, I hope to see some of you. Let us go and chill and relax and have fun and just be. Because when was the last time you made, yeah, or you just created the opportunity to really just relax and reset and bring back some balance into your life? So if it is something that you are interested in, see you all on the 30th. And for the other persons, premium members, see you all tomorrow from 6 to 7 p.m. Guys, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. And also, this is also another opportunity. You could still create your 10-minute routine. You could still create it. And before you react, remember the breathwork exercise. Before you react, remember the breathwork exercise. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night. And see you all here, same place, same time, next week, Monday. Good night, everyone.
Good night.